Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another session of Cyber Conversations. I'm Kanti. I'm the director of the Cyber Institute, and today I have with me a special guest, Alpana Tyagi. Alpana is the chief of staff for the CISO at SailPoint. In her role, she leads the Cybersecurity Strategy and Risk team at SailPoint, and before that, she worked at Ernst and Young as a consultant and SME in the next-gen security operations team. She has expertise in a wide variety of cybersecurity domains. And during her consulting career, she led cybersecurity projects with a variety of technology and financial sector companies, including some Fortune 50 clients. She has a master's degree in information sciences and technology from Penn State. And before she came to the US, she was a software engineer at Accenture, primarily working on developing in .NET and SQL. She's also an active member of the Women in Cybersecurity community and Executive Women's Forum, and is very passionate about mentoring people looking to get into cybersecurity. Alpana, thank you so much for being here with us today. We are so grateful. The floor is now yours.
Thank you so much, Kanti and Cyber, for inviting me to this conversation. It is always a pleasure to talk to other women in cyber and other women in cyber and institutions that are supporting women in cyber. So yeah, I think Kanti covered most of my, job profile. Chief of Staff is not a recognized title at SailPoint at the institution I work for. But my official title is Senior Manager for Cybersecurity Strategy and Risk here at SailPoint. I help manage, those all fall under the Office of Cybersecurity. And I help manage a lot of different teams within cyber. It's governance, risk, compliance is outside, but we manage internal compliance. Strategy, program management, training and awareness, third-party risk. So there's a lot of different, functions within cybersecurity that fall within the scope of my team here at SailPoint. Like Kanti said, prior to coming to SailPoint, I worked in consulting for quite a while. That was my first job after I completed my master's here in cybersecurity. Worked with a wide variety of clients and projects for that. In India, I was prior to coming to for my master's, I was a software engineer for a few years. So I did my bachelor's in computer science. After you do a bachelor's in computer science, I think the only option for you to be is a software engineer. And so I picked that field and quickly realized, that was not my passion. I could do coding, but I didn't love it. And so, always wanted to be in cybersecurity, and an interest in that developed I think I took one class in network security in my bachelor's, and that was all about network security, DDoS attacks. And I had a professor at that time who was working on a project and, a paper related to DDoS attacks. And he was like, I need students to, work with me on this. And I was like, this is an interesting project, something different than what I've, usually done in college and school. And so I, went on his team, worked with him on that project. We were able to make a paper out of it and published it. And when it got published, I got to do a lot of research about the topic. It was just DDoS and DDoS attacks at that time, but cyber is much more big, and right now much more what do you call, it has evolved from like DDoS attacks and such. So doing that research just helped me focus on, I wanted to do cybersecurity in my future. And that's how I made a decision to come here and study for it, and eventually made the leap to cybersecurity from computer science. But yeah, that's all about me. What kind of questions do you have?
It's so great to hear you talk about, how you discovered your interest in cybersecurity, because I feel like a lot of people, that's how they come into cyber. they look at this one subject from a different perspective, and they're like, oh, you know what, that is so cool, I want to do that at some point. And I think it's very nice that you shared that story with us. Thank you.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it was just not that specific subject as well, but it was like, I think I picked up an interest in it because, I had a professor as a mentor, who, was like, this is something you could work in, this can be like an extra project outside. And I'm, so taking up that opportunity, I think like propelled me into cybersecurity when I came to US. Like until now, I'm connected with him, and it has been, he has been a guiding light throughout my career, but he was my first step into it. And so I feel like sometimes just taking that leap of faith and just like taking that opportunity that is in front of you was also like a deciding factor for me.
And I think that mentorship plays such a huge part in our lives, right? Not just in terms of career wise, but they give you that inspiration. They give you that idea. Oh, you know what? They're doing this work. I'm fascinated by it, but I want to delve more into this other topic. And then if you have a good mentor, they are there to support you no matter what. And it's so hard to find that good mentor who can, guide you, who can tell you when you're making mistakes, right? So that's awesome.
Yeah, I cannot emphasize enough the importance of mentorship, not just in cybersecurity, but in any career that you have. I think it's very important at every step of your way to have someone who can be that guiding light for you, or who can be that, hey, this is something you could work on. It just is so important to have that. It's just important to have that backing. And I feel like a lot of my career growth, or everything that I can point it back to some people who have helped me throughout my career. People who have given me opportunities, seen my talent, or just be like, oh hey, consulting. If you for example, if you take that, consulting is a lot of different projects. I started it consulting with the SOC. I was in the Security Operations Center, went along to do projects in incident response, or helping new CISOs build their programs across different institutions, some of them Fortune 50, things like that. It was always because I was following an idea with someone, and I was like, this is a good project. And this is something that, or someone else telling me this is a good project, you should do that. And so I can't emphasize like how important it is for everyone to like seek that mentorship, and also pay it forward and be that for someone else. Like just be that guiding light for others who are entering the field. And I think that's the one of the things that important about like our women in cyber community is like a lot of women would be looking to pay it forward, but also like the importance of mentorship is there, because we have realized throughout our careers how important it is to have that.
That's very true. Something to give back, paid forward and give back.
Yeah.
While we're on the topic of mentorship, I have a question related to that then. How do you recognize an effective mentor? Right? There are so many people surrounding us all, at work, at school, at home. They're all there to guide us. But how do you find that one mentor who can help you, guide you through your career and every other challenges? Like,
Yeah, for sure. I think like a lot of mentorship is building that connection, having that interpersonal connection with someone. I also think it's just not mentors, it's like champions and things like that that you need to sort out. A lot of my mentors have been organic. I've just like the mentor in my college was a professor. His work I was interested in, but I made up a point to tell him that I was interested in his work. The same thing like in my professional career, the mentors that I have, someone I've worked with and I like their career path and I ask them about it. ask them to be my mentor in that, and just building that relationship from there. It has to be both ways. And so I think a lot of building those mentors or building those champions or your community is about developing that relationship, and being conscious about developing that relationship. Not anybody can be your mentor. And so seeking out that relationship or telling that person, hey, I like what you did with your life. I would like to follow that. And could you be my mentor? You may always not get a yes or, yes, I will be, because it does take a lot of time to take an interest in someone else's career and help build it. But at least if you try, you'll land somewhere, you'll have, somebody that's going to say, yes, I would love to be your mentor and things like that.
It's more of a trial and error thing.
Yeah, sometimes it can be, but yeah, I say that, like, it has to be a conscious effort on your end to seek a mentor and to maintain that relationship. It should just not be like a relationship that you're motivated by because you're getting something out of it, but it has to be like a relationship that you seek out to be like, hey, I genuinely want to develop a relationship with this person, and I think they will do well with me.
So then you had mentioned your interest in DDoS attacks, and you'd written articles about it. So I have a two-parter question about the article that you've written. So, right, your publication is titled, a recent survey on DDoS attacks and defense mechanisms, right? It sounds very intriguing. Can you briefly explain what these DDoS attacks are and the defense mechanisms that you've discussed in your research?
For sure. This paper I wrote was a while back, so I hope I'm like remembering it all right. I don't work in that domain anymore. I'm more focused on the governance, risk, and compliance space, but distributed denial of service attacks are like right now very well known. Like a lot of different companies have experienced it. And the mechanisms for just countering distributed denial of service attacks. A lot of people have backups. A lot of people, there's a lot of different technologies that, for your web application firewall that will automatically prevent like a distribution denial of service attack from happening to you. So it was a very big problem then when I actually worked on that research paper. People were just discovering it. But right now, I think there's a couple of different mechanisms that exist to counter a DDoS attack.
I started talking without turning off the mute.
No worries, that's okay.
And then, okay, then you pretty much answered my two-parter in that one answer. So I'm just going to go over, other questions that I have for you. You have a bachelor's in computer science and engineering, right? You also have experience as a software engineer. Do you find that background in your, in school and having that work experience developing, or coding has helped you in your current role?
It definitely has. I mean, I in-depth studied like the basics of computers, basics of networks in my degree of computer science, and then heavily worked in just development, like software lifecycle. And so it definitely has helped me in my current career. Just knowing some of those things, it just makes you be prepared for some discussions around software lifecycle, SDLC, product security. A lot of different concepts. Like I feel like I've kind of already knew about some of those things, but also like the current work that I do is nowhere related to my degree. And that I think that's important, just because I feel like there's a perception problem in cyber where everyone thinks that you only need, technical degree and you need to be a coder to be in cybersecurity. I have a team of six, out of which like I have one person who has a background of being a teacher and being in HR systems before she made a leap to cybersecurity. And so I feel like it is a field that there are some things, yes, you have to train and pen testing and things like that, like you have to take training for it, but there's a lot of different fields like that you do not necessarily have to know about before making the leap into cybersecurity. There's a lot of at least in risk space or just in like training space or program management, those are some of the skills that can transcend different kind of industries. And so I think, yes, my degree did help me in being prepared for some conversations, but the stuff that I do right now, is kind of independent of it. And, I've had to make an effort to learn about some of that.
I find that to be very accurate because I also have a bachelor's in computer science and engineering.
Yeah.
I can't code. Like I'm not very good at it. I can understand the logic. I can try to code if, I have to, but that wasn't my interest back then. It's still not my interest now. But having that knowledge of how, networks work or how different things work has certainly helped me understand cybersecurity a little bit more, I want to say.
Yeah, it does help you for sure. Like you have studied that, subject for like 4 years in college, and you've done like all different kinds of, how vast computer science is. Like they don't just teach you coding, they teach you everything, like from network to network security. And so just learning some of that basics, can be like, is helpful in anything. But yeah, like I said, like there's a lot of different fields that also like I have realized throughout my career, like also don't necessarily, need that kind of a background, and you can still make a jump into it.
I knew somebody who worked in healthcare who made the transition to cybersecurity because they were so interested in the field. So
yeah, I think it's more about, willingness to learn. That, I say I would look in a candidate more than their background. Like you can't hire like a lot of like I understand like some of the fields in cybersecurity are like you have to build, but everybody starts from somewhere, and if you don't give them like a chance to start from somewhere, there's never going to be more people. And so like at least making a conscious decision of giving someone that chance, I think will go a long way.
exactly. And cyber has something for everybody.
I truly believe that
Yeah.
people from all kinds of background within our team. Like I said, there's one who has teaching background and who's doing so amazing in like awareness and training, just because they have that kind of, so a lot of different, experiences that you have can, transcend into something that you're doing in cyber. And so if computers is not your game, there's a lot of different fields to be involved in.
That is so true. So that brings me to my next question then. Can you tell us what your day looks like at work? What does a, governance, risk, and compliance person, what do they typically do at work?
Yeah, so like I feel like 50% of my time is spent in meetings. Also because governance, risk, and compliance is just not like, it's one part of my portfolio. And then the other part is I manage the budgets. I manage a lot of strategic initiatives. I manage a lot of, like board presentations. We have an entire team of strategy and program management, so there's a lot of different teams, and that means a lot of different collaborations. Like I feel like my team here in cybersecurity acts as a backbone for a lot of services. Like we help enable a lot of services, do some background kind of work. So, a lot of my time is spent in collaboration and making sure the things that we are working on are successful, and, just supporting them. Like I'm not the SME in like a lot of these things. I have team members who are subject matter experts, and I feel like it's my job to just support them in what they're doing. And I feel like that's what like I'd spend most of my time on.
Very nice. I actually teach a class on planning and policy writing, and I think some of them would benefit from learning, more about what exactly goes on. Because I can tell them, hey, strategic planning is important or policy writing is important, but unless they have that real world example or experience, or they hear from somebody who's actually working, I think that could be nice.
Yeah, that would be totally okay. And like I said, like I'm not this me in it. I do not write good policies. I'm not gonna say that, but I have someone on my team. Like I think like for a leader or a manager like that, it's important to not like I don't want to be the smartest person in the room. I don't plan on doing that anytime, but I have different SMEs in my team who know what they do and they do it well, and it's my job to just enable them and give them that platform, like you said, like tell people how to write good policies, or like why policy writing is important, like why governance is like the backbone of any successful cybersecurity program, things like that. I feel like there's a lot we can do there.
True. And I think that that's a mark of a very good leader, right? Not just a manager, but a leader who can, say, I'm going to, let you take the lead on this because you have the expertise or you have the knowledge of how this thing works or how to do this. So I'm very glad your team has you as their manager.
Thank you so much for saying that. Yeah, I mean, you cannot be like a leader in a lot of different things. Like if you're good at everything, then you're good at nothing. And so I feel like with the kind of vast portfolio I have to manage, it will be very difficult for me to be, well versed in a lot of different things. And so it's just about hiring people who can do their job, and who can do their job well.
Exactly. We need not only people who are knowledgeable, but who can do their tasks on time, who can, yeah. So
Yeah. I think there are some, basic qualities that, everyone would look for. And as long as you have that, I think you can do anything. Like I have done projects I had no idea about. Started from somewhere, and consulting has a knack for like giving you the kind of training projects, and the kind of project that I've done in my consulting career, it comes nowhere close to like anything else I've done. And so it's just about for me it was important to like do different things in my career. Like I didn't want to be in one specific things. So I started in the SOC. I went to SOC strategy. I went to a lot of different, assessment, maturity assessments, did some of compliance, did some of incident response. And so once you start doing some of those things, also that's how you decide like what you want to do and what you don't want to do. And so I've made that jump a lot in my career to get, different kind of experiences. I think I've lost the track of the question that was asked. So I'm sorry about that.
no, that's okay. Again, this is a conversation, and the more you are able to explain, the different aspects of your job, of your career, or of your career path itself, I think the more our viewers would benefit from it. So
Yeah, for the like, yeah, I think I started describing like a lot of different day-to-days. I think, and so my day-to-day has looked a lot different, and it shifts from time to time to how it looks like. But most of it is spending time, collaborating or like supporting the teams, and also, just one-on-ones and a lot of things like that.
awesome. So then I I'll take a little pivot from there, and I'll ask you, since you made the transition into cybersecurity, were there any challenges that you faced in this particular field? And if there were, what or how did you, overcome them? What steps were you able to take to overcome those challenges?
For sure, I am. I think um there's obviously going to be challenges into shifting to a completely different thing. But I remember my first project, just not a first, but like I think second or third project in my consulting career, that's when I started working into cybersecurity. After my college was something related to security operations center, and had no idea how alerts look like, what alerts look like, what am I getting into, right? I've coded before. I had knowledge of, security tooling, basic security tooling, but it's kind of, it's with any job, like you don't know what you're getting into. And so I think a lot of that was countered by learning a lot on the job. I also credit it to a lot of different, trainings that I've taken over the course of my career to make myself proficient in a subject. It's important for organizations to also do that. And I've had organizations who have supported the training on the job, which is like one of the most important aspects. If you're getting into a field, if you're getting into a job, like you want to make sure that the person knows, what they're supposed to do and help them transition into that career. And so a lot of that, a lot of the initial problems that I've had were countered by, good trainings, good mentors, good teachers, and a lot of learning myself.
And cyber is also a very I don't know how to describe it. It's you learn more by actually doing stuff, not just by reading the stuff.
I think a lot of, yeah, I mean, as the junior most candidate on a team, like you learn from your seniors and what they're doing. But you also always have to be in that learning mode, and you always have to, you have to have shadow people, or I'm like, I've always asked that question, right? Like, I don't know much about SOC. Can I shadow someone in your team for like some time because I want to learn more about it? Or just like cross training, like a lot of people start from somewhere in cybersecurity and they're like, I want to end up here. I started here, but maybe I'll be more good in in this part of the organization. And it is important for ourselves, like us, to ask that question, like, can we do it? But also like for organizations to enable that, to provide you the means to do it, to provide you the trainings to do it. It's not easy to pivot careers, to a completely different job, but you do have to take that leap of faith. And then, your organization, should be making an effort to support it as well.
That is so true. If you don't have that support from your management, from your, superiors, if they are always putting you down, if they're saying, oh, you can't do that at work, you need to do that on your own time, then that's not a very effective way of making sure your employees, or making sure that you retain your employees, I guess.
Yeah, and cross training, like I said, is part of like a lot of, I feel like people move within cyber a lot. Like they go from like technical to non-technical. I've seen like a lot of people move in my career from like technical to non-technical, non-technical to technical, and things like that. I've always, seen them make that jump, but also like the organization supporting that jump. And it's always a good thing to do that, because then you get like different varying perspectives within the team as well. And so
I'll take another pivot here, and I think this is a question that's worth asking is, what do you think are the most important qualities of a successful cybersecurity professional? And as a, on point one, I'll ask another one is, how can, young people develop those qualities? What avenues can they look at to understand that, or this is what it means to be a cybersecurity professional, and these are the qualities that you need to have, and what avenues do you think they can look to obtain those skills?
yeah, I think one of the most important qualities that I think is important in cybersecurity as a profession is to be able to learn. It's a never evolving field. You don't have, like I said, DDoS attacks were like relevant like 12 years ago. And now there's something else in the world. Now there's like AI challenges in the world. So it's a field that keeps on ever evolving. And so you can't rely on like all of your information that you learned 6 years ago. And so you always have to keep updating yourself, and to be knowing your environment, because you're protecting that environment. I think it's also important for people to have, the mindset of getting things done. It's one of the most important qualities, at least I look for in a candidate. It's like, if you have the aptitude to be able to do that, you can be successful in anything. And I think, like, at least from my viewpoint, that's very important for you to be able to say that, you can get things done. It's very important for teams, to hire people who can get things done. So I think I would say, learning every day, new jobs, communication skills are important. And so these are like soft skills that can transcend into any career in cybersecurity. It isn't just relevant for, GRC space. Of course, you'll develop over time and you'll learn new skills with that. But at least to get started, you have to be able to demonstrate that, you have those, you have that backbone built up, and that you can, use those things in your everyday career.
Personally, I'm a very big fan of soft skills.
I think so too.
And unfortunately, we're almost out of time. So I'll ask my last question. What advice do you have for any young person that is watching this video?
For sure. I mean, my advice would be, don't be afraid to try new things. I have used that throughout my career. I'm gonna say that's one of the most important things that I've learned, is just like taking that leap of faith. And don't be afraid to try new things, build out your network. Cybersecurity looks like a large community, but it's a small community. Reach out, make those connections, and consciously seek to, move into the next direction. Like, what do you want to do? Where do you want to go? College is an amazing place to be able to do that. Like, you can make connections with your professors, a lot of different people, alumni, things like that. I got my first job out of college campus placement, and I can't emphasize enough, like, that it's difficult to, make that connection if you don't have that, something like that, or just like alumni, So make sure you make connections, make sure you make meaningful connections, and always be there to, try new stuff. Cybersecurity is vast. We need more people to be in our field. We need more women to be in our field. And, there's always be someone who's going to be, looking to hire you.
Thank you. That is great advice. Networking, a lot of people, when we talk about jobs, they're always only focused on their skill. Yes, you have the skill, but you need to be able to market yourself. You need to be able to showcase that skill to others. And what better way for you to do that than to network with, colleagues, or like you had mentioned, you're in college, talk to your faculty, or if you're at school, form those connections with potential mentors and so on. So that's
I mean, networking can take you places, like people say that, but I've realized that in my real life too. Attend conferences if you can. There's a lot of different people always hiring for stuff. Like, we had someone last week in a conference who turned their presentation into like a hiring pitch. So it was like, oh, why don't you come work for us? So there's always, venues for you to look at if you want to make that, you just have to be very conscious about seeking that. So.
Yeah, that's great advice. So thank you so much. And I will say again, thank you very much for being on our Cyber Conversations today. We really appreciate it.
Well, thank you so much for inviting me, and let me know if there is anything else I can do for you.